Hi, welcome to the lab exercise 4, working with Spark libraries. This exercise will show you how to create various applications using these libraries. The advantage of these libraries are that they are tightly integrated with Spark with little overhead, as opposed to other software where you would have to integrate and work with different third-party libraries. This one, everything is tightly bundled together. Any updates or changes made to the Spark core, all these libraries will in fact get them as well. So the first section of this lab exercise, we're going to create a Spark application with Spark SQL. Spark SQL provides the ability to write relational queries to be run on Spark. There's the abstraction schema RDD, which is used to create an RDD that can run SQL, HiveQL, and Scala. So in this lab section, you're going to use SQL to find out the average weather and precipitation for a given time period in New York. Again, the purpose is to demonstrate how to use the Spark SQL libraries on Spark. So our NYC weather data is already on the HDFS under temp, lab data, and Spark data. You uploaded this in a previous exercise. Now let's go ahead and take a look at this data. We're doing a Hadoop command to view the contents of nycweather.csv. So there are three columns here. You have the date, the mean temperature in Celsius, and the precipitation for that day. And since we already know the schema here, we're going to infer the schema using reflection. So let's launch the Spark shell and get started with this exercise. The first thing you have to do is define the SQL context from the existing Spark context. So here I'm creating a SQL context and I'm passing in SC, which is the Spark context. So we're going to be doing our work inside of the SQL context. Now you're going to have to import a schema RDD. So that's what we're doing here. We're going to import the SQL context.create schema RDD. This is going to allow us to work with schema RDDs. Next, we're going to work with a case class in Scala that defines the schema type of the table. In this case, we're going to call this weather. The first column is going to be a date column with a string. Second column is an integer for the Celsius, and the third column is the precipitation as a double. Now, we can create the RDD of the weather object. So we are loading in the text file using the regular Spark context, loading in this CSV file, and then we're going to split up the file on the commas, and for each value we're going to map it to our case class that we created in the previous step. So the first column is going to come from W0, the second column is going to be W1, and we're going to do some trimming on it to make sure the data doesn't contain any extra white spaces or anything like that. And so now at this point you're ready to create and run some queries on the RDD. So we have to register this RDD as a table. So we just invoke the register temp table command and give it the name of weather. So that's going to be the name of the table when we run the query against it. Alright, so now we can run the queries on it. We're going to find the hottest day with precipitation. And so I'm creating a hottest with precip schema RDD. It's going to come from SQL context, and the method is SQL or SQL, and then we put in the query right inside. So I'm doing a select all from the weather table. That's the same table that we registered earlier, and we're going to find it where the precipitation is greater than 0, and we're going to sort it by the descending, so the hottest day is going to be on top. Alright, now you can, you have the result set as part of the hottest underscore with underscore precip RDD. So we're going to go ahead and print this out onto the console. First we're going to map it to the various columns, and I'm going to have a date column with the first index, the value of the first index, the temp column, the value of the second index, and the precipitation. Then we're going to get the top 10 dates and then print it out to the console. So there it is. You saw how to print it out to the console. You can format it any way you like, but essentially what we've done here is we took a text file, CSV, put it into a schema RDD and ran queries against it. So you can do this for any type of business logic that your application requires.